My motto is build things better, which is also an acronym for Billy the Brick. And that doesn't mean that I make things better. I don't think that I'm better than other people, but one of my goals is to help other people build things better. So I offer tutorials and blueprints and kits and things to give people building blocks to help them make stuff. Hi, I'm Will from Billy the Brick Cosplay, and this is me. I design and make props, costumes, and sets for myself, for other cosplayers, and for TV and film. So on this table, I have a couple of projects I'm working on. There's some Thor swords. This is parts for Hera's Kalikori from Star Wars Rebels that I'm working on. Have this cool project that I'm working on. Look familiar? T800. Azkaban prison signs that I'm finishing up. It's a copy of my arm, but you know. That's for a secret project I'm working on. Foam, Warbler, bunch of random crap, drawers that are labeled with all the fun stuff, electronics, sticking, which is glue, tape, all that good stuff, sanding, painting, safety equipment, because safety is important. This cabinet has all the resins and silicones for molding and casting, lots and lots of paint and sealers and things, more paint, and then some clay and other stuff down there. Currently not being used, obviously, are all the power tools that aren't currently being used, and tools, and that's pretty much the whole space. So I got into this because of Star Trek. My dad was a big Star Trek fan when I was little, and he tried to get me into watching Star Trek with him, and I really didn't have any interest. And then he died when I was 13. One of the things he left behind was a big VHS collection of Star Trek The Next Generation episodes that he had recorded. And so I started watching it and fell in love with the show, asked my mom to make me a Star Trek The Next Generation uniform, and I really wanted a prop, a phaser from the show, and so I got the technical manual that you could buy, and it has blueprints in there, and I used that to make a phaser out of cardboard. And so that was my first prop and my first costume, and I went to a Star Trek convention. So ever since then, it's just something that I've liked doing. So one of the things that's interesting about going to conventions as not just an attendee and being on kind of the other side of it is you kind of experience everything a little bit differently. You're not going to meet celebrities, you're not necessarily going to go to panels, and instead I'm walking around and people are stopping me to ask me to take my picture, which the first few times it happened, the first few conventions, was really kind of surprising. Like, I didn't expect that to happen. You're basically a part of the convention now. You're an attraction when you're in costume, and especially if you're a character that lots of people like and want to interact with. Going back to the whole building things better and teaching people, I like to do panels where I'm explaining how I do things and showing people how I do things. And I have other guests on the panel that have maybe a different experience than I do, so we can kind of give people that knowledge. First thing we're gonna do is brush the mold with some powder. So these little plastic guys here help keep it rigid, keep it shut. And we will mix up the resin. You can actually feel it start to warm up once the plastic starts curing, because it's an exothermic reaction. Pour it in here as well. Give it a little squeeze, a little tap, get any air bubbles out, and we wait about 10 minutes and it's ready to come out. So one big misconception in the work that I do is how much work things take and how much they cost. So I get a lot of requests for commissions, and I'll, write up a quote and send it to the person for the costume, which includes, what kind of materials I'm gonna use, how long it's gonna take, and probably 5% of the time people say yes, because they didn't realize going into it what it would cost to get a custom, handmade, to your exact measurements costume or prop. So that's definitely a big one. So I'm about to take Barbie's head off. I'm gonna cut her face off and replace it with a T800 face. All right, so Barbie's skin is apparently really hard to cut. Cut her eyeball out so the light will glow through. So this is going to be one of the decorations at the 90s party that the Living Computer Museum here in Seattle is doing. That's kind of scary. A big part of what I do is helping people make the things that they love come to life. Usually when people want to make a costume or a prop or something, they're really passionate about it. And so when they figure out, with my help or me doing it, making that thing come to life and realizing it, they're so excited and happy about it. And being a part of that is really rewarding.